just didn't know. Didn't know I was looking for love until I found you. Didn't know I was looking for love until I found you. Didn't know I was looking for love. Didn't know I was looking for love. I've got another smile and a gaze of fire. I've got the most perfect song and my life to give you. You've got the look of a lion and a wretched illusion. You've got the most perfect soul and your heart to give me. Another smile and a gaze of fire. You've got the most perfect soul and your heart to give me. I've got the most perfect.
Θα μας πει εδώ. Πάμε. Λοιπόν, καλή σας μέρα. Δεν ξέρω αν ακούγομαι. Ακούγομαι νομίζω. Καλή σας μέρα. Είπε ο Θοδωρής ο Παναγούλης, διευθυντής του Energy
Good
Press.
morning,
Έχω το ευχάριστο καθήκον
ladies and gentlemen.
αυτή την ωραία πρωτοβουλία που έλαβε ο ΔΑΠΕΠ, ο διαχειριστής, για το καινούριο, θα λέγαμε, event, την καινούργια έλευση στον χώρο το ενεργειακό, της δημοπρασίας εγγύσεων προέλευσης. Σε αυτή την μικρή εκδήλωση ενημέρωσης για τους ανθρώπους, τα στελέχη που πιθανόν θα χρειαστεί να αξιοποιήσουν και να
The
συμμετάσχουν.
people that might want to take part in this process.
Και είναι εδώ μαζί μας ο κύριος Αριστοτέλης Αϊβαλιώτης, ο
We
Γενικός
have Mr.
Γραμματέας.
Aristotelis Aivaliotis with us, the General Secretary.
Μετά ο κύριος Γιαρέντης, ο πρόεδρος
Of course, Mr. Yaredis afterwards, the CEO of DAPEP,
μόνο του ΔΑΠΕΠ, θα κάνει την
and
εισαγωγή.
he will do the introduction.
Στην πρώτη φάση, πριν από το
And then, before the lunch break, we're going to have
αναλυτικές,
two
ενημερωτικές,
very informative presentations by Mrs. Koulouvari and Mr. Adonopoulos
θα καλέσω αμέσως
from
τον
DAPEP.
Γενικό
So I will
τον κύριο
immediately call the General Secretary of DAPEP, Mr. Aristotelis Aivaliotis, without any further ado.
Ξέρετε ότι όλοι περιμένουν και ως
You
επακόλουθο
know
και
that
το
everybody's waiting for you,
να ακούσουν και κάτι ίσως για το
and they want to hear something about the financial health, let's say, of ELAPE. Yes. Good morning. I am here to inaugurate this initiative by DAPEP for GOs, meaning guarantees of origin. DAPEP is a very important organization for energy policies of the country, as it settles, let's say, it pays, it supports all this development of renewable energy sources in our country, which is moving at a very fast pace and a very successful pace, along, of course, with the relevant problems that we have with the network and the consumption, which unfortunately, as a result, lead us to cutting and diminishing the distribution of energy. And this presents a lot of challenges to the ministry. We need to increase the interconnections in order to use the energy that we are not using today. I'm going to use the word violent, let's say, fast-paced introduction in energy saving in order not to surpass the limits. And all these entire policies show us that the country is on the way to becoming a protagonist in the development of renewable energy sources in the world. And now the GOs, the guarantees of origin, are a tool which can be used in order to support renewable energy sources, but also to disperse this green label, let's say, which more and more companies all around the world need to have, need to show. Now, in this general description of our policies, I'm going to say that we're doing everything that we can in order to support the disbursement of renewable energy sources in our system, and not just our system, the systems across the borders also, because we have a lot of sun, a lot of wind. We have the best wind park dynamic in the Mediterranean, and we need to utilize that. And all these comparative advantages will be the main weapons, let's say, of our policies. We need to be more careful when it comes to other programs that have already been signed with our European counterparts, such as the savings program, changing of heating sources, electricity vehicles, which have a basic constraint, which is the money, of course, the budgeting. We don't have a lot of national resources in order to support these great actions, but we have co-signed all these actions and we support them. We need to set high goals. If you don't set high goals, you will probably remain where you are. So I wish for this meeting today to be an opportunity for the people that are interested in dealing with guarantees of origin, and also disperse this knowledge to all the possible receivers, meaning the industry, which will be asking more and more for GOs, ESG, as we call it. It is an ambition, a directive of the European Union, which leads more and more of our financial actions to take part in it. For example, banks. Banks are obliged, have been obliged for a few months now, to grade environmentally each loan that they give away. Let's say someone gets a loan to buy a house. It needs to have an energy certificate for the house. If it doesn't, immediately the house will be classified as a house with the lowest energy efficiency. So it will remain an environmental danger. The loans that have been given by banks, both new ones and old ones, ever since 2015, if they do not include the environmental certificate in the loan, we're going to need investment funds of about 2 million euros. So one of the demands of ESG today might create a new banking crisis. So this will be repeated and it will be dispersed. An aluminum industry, for example, won't be able to export its products if it doesn't have an energy certificate, an environmental certificate of green energy, at least in Europe. I don't know about the rest of the world. Maybe not, maybe yes, because they don't have such strict restrictions. But anyway, the tools that we call guarantees of origin is a very helpful tool for all of our economic activities. And I hope that the bids that will take place will give good value to those who have the production of those GEOs. The PEP today is offering a very useful service, and I would like to congratulate the President for this initiative. The CEO, I'm sorry, is the speaker. And I hope that it will all go well. I would really like to see this bidding process. I hope that you can make sure that it will take place on the day that you said, and I would like to see the first results and the interest that will appear. Now, about questions. I wouldn't want to comment on decisions that have not been made yet. So I will be a bit defensive at first. I'm waiting for the minister first to make the announcements. So let's not talk about this today. Let's talk about GEOs. Thank you. Thank you very much. This is quite understandable. So now I would like to call to the podium Mr. Yannis Yaredis, CEO of DAPEEP, who will inaugurate, let's say, the inaugurating speech of today's meeting. Thank you, Mr. Panagoulis, General Secretary, Mrs. President, officers of the company, dear colleagues. I can see here representatives of all institutions that take part in this energy market. We have the president here with us, which is the greatest institution of collection and distribution of renewable energy source energy. We have the representative of the regulatory authority, Mr. Dionysis Papachristou. So I'd like to welcome you all. And I would like to take up some of your time in order to explain to you a couple of things which I believe are quite important. Now, before we start with that, I would like to partially answer to the question that has been said by Mr. Panagoulis regarding the special account and the financial issues that we have in front of us. The guarantees of origin can be an influx of income for the special account. So they are quite interconnected, let's say. So I would like to take up this opportunity and say that this special renewable energy sources account, since the beginning of 2000, has been supporting the development of renewable energy sources. It is an account that pays back the green energy produced. It compensates, let's say, much earlier than what was happening in the past with all other types of production through the market. This is why we call it Special Renewable Energy Sources Account. It is an account that safeguards the fact that the green production of energy is here and it's here to stay. And we ought to save it, to safeguard it. And of course, we have been through many difficult situations. We had some bad problematic times with waste management, which created a crisis in the market. And the crisis in the market means a stop, a halt in the development of renewable energy sources. and also a halt in the investments that were starting to happen. The investments for renewable energy sources had got down to zero, actually. And also, we experienced some disinvestment. Organizations and businesses that have started creating renewable energy sources had started selling them because they judged that renewable energy sources did not have a good future in our country. So this situation has been reversed in the past years. We have created a very good and stable, healthy image in this special renewable energy sources account since the beginning of 2020, and this special account has been completely renewed. It pays right on time 17,000 producers, and today they are 26,000. It pays them back on time, and you know what this means for an investor? It means that the obligations this investor has towards banking, towards constructors, they are paid on time. In the past, this could not happen. There was uncertainty. So this has started happening since the beginning of 2020. We have this calm, stable situation in this developmental road through a healthy DAPEEP organization. And this health in this special renewable energy sources account
προβληματικό λογαριασμό πρέπει να διαφυλαχθεί και πρέπει να διατηρηθεί.
Must be safeguarded, must be kept safe. The state is supporting us in various ways, helping us, and all the efforts that have been made through the company in order for us to have the so-called operational excellence, the excellence in operations of the special account that has been around for the past years. And also this simplification of processes along with the good, stable finance situation are the things that we need to keep in mind. So this state in the past had regulated, had changed the influx quota, and up to a degree, this special account was the main supporter of the energy transition funds. And it's not just the 1.1 billion that have been used from the funds of the special account to the energy transition funds, but there was in total 4.5 billion euros directly or indirectly that have been given to the energy transition funds and supported this crisis when there was a huge problem 2 years ago. The renewable energy sources are the ones that support the energy situation of our country. We are supporting ourselves on that. So the energy, the special account, DAPEEP, needs to remain healthy, needs to remain stable. We have submitted our first studies, and the ministry has also asked for a more analytical report of numbers. We have asked for specific measures. We are the ones that are in contact with the ministry. We have also asked for an increase in ETMEAR. This is a regulated charge which have been around from previous regulators, but for the past 4 years these charges remain stable, fixed at 17 euros. And we are asking for a change, actually, and for it to go to 24 euros. This was the base charge, the common invoice, both for homes and businesses.
Τώρα, Για τις
Now,
εγγύης προέλευσης. Τι είναι η εγγύης προέλευσης? Η εγγύης προέλευσης
what are the
είναι,
guarantees of origin?
δεν είναι πιστοποιητικό, είναι πιστοποίηση.
These are not a
Είναι
certificate
πιστοποίηση
actually,
ότι
it's a
μία μεγαβατόρα
certification
είναι πράσινη.
that one megawatt
Είναι αυτό
comes
που ο
from
κόσμος
green
λέει για τη
sources.
γυναίκα του Καίσαρα.
As the people say for the wife of Caesar, actually, the wife of Caesar may not be honest, but must look honest. This is what the guarantees of origin do. They certify that the produced energy is indeed green.
Αυτό το κάνουν οι εγγύης προέλευσης μέσα από ένα διεθνές
The
σύστημα.
guarantee of origin does that through an international system, a geo-system.
Κάθε πράσινη μεγαβατόρα δίνει μία πιστοποίηση ότι όντως είναι
which
πράσινη
gives a
και δεν είναι
certification to every kilowatt
Οι
per
εγγύης
energy.
προέλευσης πού χρησιμοποιούνται?
And how do we
Σήμερα,
use
επί της
these
ουσίας,
geos?
τι είναι? Είναι αυτό που η αγορά το λέει σαν
Today,
εργαλείο
this is
marketing.
what the
Είναι ένα
market says as a
marketing tool.
marketing tool.
Θα
It is a
θυμάστε
marketing
ότι πριν
tool.
από πολλά
I
χρόνια,
guess that you remember a few
όταν
years
ακόμα
ago,
οι
when the
ανανεώσιμες πηγές
renewable energy
ενέργειας δεν
sources
είχαν μεγαλώσει,
were still
εγώ
in
θυμάμαι
the
είχαμε
infant
κάποιες
phase,
μεγάλες ξένες εταιρείες
I remember
που
some big
κολοσσοί,
foreign
ήταν η
companies,
Amazon, ήταν
such
η
as
Google,
Amazon,
ήταν η Apple,
Google,
οι
Apple,
οποίες πριν από πολλά χρόνια γύρισαν
many,
και
many years
είπαν
ago,
προς όλους τους καταναλωτές, προς
They
όλο τον κόσμο,
started-
ότι εμείς καταναλώνουμε μόνο πράσινη
they
ενέργεια.
started saying to everyone
Γιατί
that
το
we
είπαν?
only consume green
Το είπαν
energy.
γιατί
Why
είχαν
did they say that
αντιληφθεί
so many years
ότι η
ago?
πράσινη
Because they had
ενέργεια
realized
δεν
that
είναι
green
κάτι
energy
για το τώρα, είναι κάτι
is
για
not
το αύριο, είναι
something,
αυτό που μπαίνει πάρα πολύ
it's
δυνατά
not
μέσα
something
στην έννοια
present,
της
it's not something
βιωσιμότητας
that's
και της
going to
βιώσιμης
remain
ανάπτυξης.
just for a few years. It's
Αυτό
going to
όλο έχει
remain
προχωρήσει.
forever
Σήμερα,
as a part of
εκεί
sustainable
που πριν
development.
μερικά χρόνια το
And
να χρησιμοποιείς
a few
πράσινη
years ago,
ενέργεια
using green
δεν είχε
energy
καμία
had
προστιθέμενη
no
αξία.
point actually, it
Σήμερα
didn't give you any
είναι
added value. But
κρίσιμο σημείο
today,
το οποίο
it
ακουμπάει
is
και τον πολίτη και τον
a turning
καταναλωτή.
point,
Και αυτό
both for
όλο
the
και
consumers
μεγαλώνει,
and for
όλο
the
και
businesses.
γίνεται πιο
And
έντονο,
this
όλο και
becomes
γίνεται
more
πιο
and more
απαιτητικό.
intense, more
Ανέφερε
and more
προηγουμένως ο
demanding.
κύριος Γενικός
The
ότι
General
υπάρχουν
Secretary said
κριτήρια
before
πλέον
that
μέσα
there
από
are
το
some
ESG
specific criteria through
στις
ESG
τράπεζες,
for
αλλά και
banks,
όχι
for
μόνο,
example,
για να
and other
αποδεικνύουν
businesses
ότι η
as well, in order
καταναλωτικόμενη
for them to
ενέργεια από
prove
αυτούς
that the
είναι
consumed
όντως
energy is
προερχόμενη από
indeed
ανανεώσιμες πηγές
coming
ενέργειας.
from renewable energy
Να
sources.
προσθέσω κάτι το οποίο είναι
Let
πάρα
me
πολύ
also
σημαντικό
add
για τη
something which is
βιομηχανία, η
quite important for the
αντιστάθμιση,
industry.
η ενίσχυση για τη λεγόμενη διαρροή άνθρακα,
This
αυτό το
support for
οποίο
the
έρχεται η
so-called
Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση
CO2 emission,
σαν αντιστάθμιση στους
the
φόρους που
European
δημιουργούνται
Union
με την
is
πληρωμή
trying to
των ρήπων που
compensate for
έχει
those
επιβληθεί
taxes,
σε ένα
for the
φουγάρο
tax,
που
for the
ρηπαίνει, να το
fine,
πω έτσι απλά,
for the fines
και
given
η
for
ενίσχυση
a
που
plant,
δίνεται
for
να
example,
αντισταθμίσει αυτό το κόστος μέσα από τις διαδικασίες
that
της
is emitting
αντιστάθμισης
CO2.
έχουν έναν όρο.
And
Ότι οι
all these
βιομηχανίες
funding
για
has
να
a
πάρουν
term,
αυτή την
a specific
ενίσχυση
term.
πρέπει να έχουν ένα
Every
ποσοστό
business, in order
τουλάχιστον
to get extra
30%
funding, need to have a percentage of at
αποδεδειγμένα
least 30%
πράσινη ενέργεια.
green
Δηλαδή,
energy,
η κατανάλωση της ενέργειάς
meaning the
να είναι
consumption
πράσινη.
of each
Και όχι
plant, each
μόνο,
business must
προχωράει όλο
use
και
green
περισσότερα,
energy for at least
αν θέλετε,
30%.
η υποχρεωτικότητα.
And now it's becoming obligatory.
Υποχρεωτικότητα της χρήσης των εγγύσεων προέλευσης.
It's becoming obligatory to use GOs.
Της χρήσης
It's
ανανεώσιμης
becoming obligatory
ενέργειας.
to use renewable
Όλο
energy
αυτό είναι
sources.
ένα σύστημα το οποίο
And all this
έχει
thing is
δημιουργηθεί
a
από
method
την
that will
Ευρωπαϊκή
be
Ένωση
created from the European Union
και έχει επεκταθεί και έχει
and has
τουλάχιστον
expanded
21 χώρες στον διεθνή οργανισμό,
with at least 21
έτσι ώστε
countries in
να
this
είναι
international
μόνο ένα
organization,
προϊόν το οποίο είναι πιστοποιημένα μη επαναλήψιμο μέσα από τη
because it is a
λογική της
product
ανάκλησης,
that cannot
ότι
be repeated,
γνωρίζετε,
as you all know,
αλλά και μοναδικό,
but
αλλά
also
και με έναν
unique
τρόπο έτσι ώστε να
in a way
δημιουργεί τις συνθήκες της
in a way
διακίνησης
that
στην
it
ελεύθερη
creates
αγορά
the
της
best
Ευρώπης
conditions
και
of
της,
dispersing
αν
energy in the
θέλετε,
free market of the European Union
πιστοποίησης
and
ότι
also the
όλα λειτουργούν
certification
σε
that
μια ενιαία
everything is
ευρωπαϊκή αγορά.
functioning in a unified market.
Οι εγγύησεις προέλευσης δημιουργήθηκαν, θεσμοθετήθηκαν το 2010 με τον
GOs were legislated in 2010 with 368, that is the law, and since then the DAPEEP has been the only authorized manager of GOs. And in 2018, GOs became part of our name, of our brand. More letters were added, and there was a problem initially, but people will become familiar with it, are becoming more and more familiar with it. In 2019, upon request, we became a member of the AAB, a request that had already been submitted a few years ago, but we became part of the European organization in 2019. We became a permanent member and we were certified in 2023. It's not an easy task to become member of a European organization and be certified. The members of our organization undertook a very strenuous effort to achieve this certification, and we have integrated a small part that had to do with the RES of the islands, and now, currently, that is, we are the only body. Well, formally, the DAPEEP is also the second body to be a part of the EIB, but we've been operating since 2010 the registry of GOs, which has now entered a new phase in the single information system or unitary information system of the AIB. And cancellations now freely circulate in Europe. This is a unique registry, and it is linked with with the past procedures, past, present, and future procedures of GOs. GOs will be the object of an auction soon. The first auction will take place on the 26th of June, and Mrs. Koulouvari, who is the competent director, the competent manager, that is, will inform you on the regulation. This will be a first presentation, but I'm sure that most of you have already spoken with the competent authority, that you have already received the necessary recommendations and guidelines. Most of you have been operating in this field for years, but you're here today to learn even more and to become familiar with the platform that will be hosting such auctions. Such auctions are of paramount importance, and they are linked with what I have said previously. 1 million GOs will be auctioned on the 26th of June. The auction will be taking place for such GOs to acquire the best possible price per unit. And why are we interested in such a thing? Because the revenue from these auctions will be a revenue for the special account of RES. And then in September and December, we will have 2 more millions of GOs coming from GOs. Well, if this happens, I'm not going to share the price in Lithuania. I'm not going to predict any prices for this auction. I'm just going to say that the equivalent auction in France achieved a price of 5 euros per unit. We may have an even higher price here, but if GOs are auctioned and we reach the price of €1, which will be higher to my mind. But anyway, well, that would mean, even with that €1, that we will have €3 million as revenues in the special RES account. I am ambitious, and I keep dreaming that this unit price will be €5. So 15 million to this account. And this is how the special account for RES will be strengthened. It is of paramount importance for all of us to understand the value of such auction in order to create this inflow of money for this special RES account. It is important to have a strong system that will be transparent. The auction needs to be implemented by an authorized and experienced body like Cosmo One, for us to reach a result that will be fully transparent and open to potential malignant or benevolent, if I may say so, criticism. The regulation is not a regulation that we created par rocher. We sent it to the assembly, the plenary that is. There has been consultation with the market, and Mrs. Koulouvari will be talking about this regulation more in detail. This regulation will actually be yet another step that will conclude this process of GOs. Mrs. Koulouvari will talk about the regulation, and Mr. Andonopoulos will then talk about the various processes necessary. And Mr. Panagoulis, you will be coordinating the questions, and then Mr. Petmezas will be presenting the platform so that everything, all details, all items will be transparent without any hidden agenda, without any hidden talks. We are a transparent body. Transparency is indeed a very important value of us. We work, we serve transparency in order to guarantee reliability for everything that we have been doing so far. Thank you very much for your attention. The managing director set the general framework of the new services of GOs, and I believe that further details will now be provided by Mr. Koulouvari, Director of GOs and Energy Mix of DAPEEP. I kindly invite her to the podium, to the panel that is, or to the panel. And then I would also like to invite Mr. Giorgos Andonopoulos from the branch, the sector of GOs and energy mix of DAPEEP. We will first listen to the two presentations, and then we will have time to receive questions either online from participants attending online or from participants attending in physical presence. Mrs. Koulouvari, kindly take the floor. Let us now follow the presentation. If the interpreters could also see it, that would be very helpful. Most of you know what GOs are. Auctions have a very specific legislative framework. Law 3468 of 2006, which was modified in 2022 with Law 4951, stating that part of GOs for RES will be auctioned. And which parts will be auctioned? GOs that are issued for electricity production from stations that are subsidized and that have been operating since as of the 1st of January 2021. We created a regulation which is prepared by the issuing authority and is submitted for approval by the regulatory authority. So, I'm sure there will be a lot of interest for questions. So let me address those attending online. You may scan the QR and submit your questions anonymously, if so wished. You may proceed, Madam. So, the DAPEEP elaborated a regulation which was sent to the regulatory authority in February 2024. Public consultation took place and it was approved. I'm not going to talk about GOs. It is an electronic certificate underlined by European directives in a registry. And like the President said, we have been part of the Association of Issuing Bodies since 2019. We are connected to the HUB hub since 2023, and we undergo periodical audits to guarantee the reliability of our work. So we will be starting with auctions on the 26th of June. It's going to be an electronic auction within the framework of the system we call CPEV. Every auction is about one product, so a totality of GOs that were issued by December 2023 by wind stations connected after the 1st of January 2021. So this is a product, the product that will be auctioned. The negotiation period will last 30 minutes, which could be extended. How could it be extended? If we have like last minute, if we have a bid that changes the data, then we extend it for 5 minutes. The starting time is different per auction. The general rule is that it will be amount to 10% of the lower bid that was satisfied in the previous and most recent auction, and there can be an unlimited number of bids per participant. In the first auction, the starting price will amount to 10 cents. So bidders can submit an unlimited number of bids. Every new bid replaces the previous of the same participant, and the process is pay as bid. To participate in an auction, the first requirement is the following. The participant, the bidder, needs to be registered in the registry of GOs. An invitation for such registration is open, has been opened. So, apart from that, up until 10 days before the auction, those who have registered need to submit, to declare rather, their intention to participate in the bid. For them to participate, they need to submit a guarantee of participation. One such way would be to pay a specific amount to a specific account, and this is the ticket, if I may say so, to participate in the auction. So a bid will be valid only if the amount paid for the object, for the item, is double the amount paid by the bidder before the bid for the registry. GOs the GO is 1 megawatt hour. Now the price paid by the participant, these are all elements to be included in the bid, and whether it covers the whole part of the object auctioned or part of it.
Now, during the negotiation, every participant is informed at any given time whether the bid that he made is accepted, the quantity of GOs that is covered by his bid temporarily, and the quantity of the GOs that have been bidded out of the total, the percentage of the available GOs that have been bidded. Now, this specific quantity is dynamic, it changes all the time, and because each new bid that enters the system changes, of course, the number.
Δίνουμε τη δυνατότητα σε κάποιους συμμετέχοντα
the potential to a participant that is registered in the bidding registry, but unfortunately, let's say that he has a technical issue and cannot be connected at the moment. He can submit a bid
με αυτές τις προϋποθέσεις, δηλαδή 15 λεπτά υποβάλλει την προσφορά του πριν ξεκινήσει.
The same prerequisites, and we submit the bidding on his behalf within the first 15 minutes of this negotiation. DAPEEP, of course, checks if the bid is correct, and if found approved, it will take part in the bid. If unapproved, the participant does not have the right to resubmit a new bid. And they have to pay 1,000 euros in order to give DAPEEP the right to bid on their behalf. Now, first of all, the bids need to be submitted within the negotiation period. The amount of GOs asked must be smaller or equal to the initial price. The price offered by the participant must be equal or bigger to the starting price. And after the first bid, each new bid submitted by the same participant must be better than the previous one, must be higher than the previous one that has been approved. What does this mean, higher? That the new bid offers a better price or a bigger quantity or both.
Τώρα, η οικονομική υποχρέωση που απορρέει από κάθε προσφορά έγκυρη που υποβάλλεται
the financial participation must be smaller or equal to the same amount that has been submitted at the beginning of the bid. So the guarantee is, let's say, a fence, a ceiling.
Όλες οι προσφορές που υποβάλλονται κατά τη διάρκεια της περίοδου διαπραγμάτευσης.
All offers submitted in the negotiation period are being ranked, and the biggest offer is the better one. The next criteria is the quantity, and of course the time on which it was submitted. If it was submitted on an earlier date, it is higher in the ranking. With the submission of each new approved bid, the previous bid is replaced, and all the bids that have been submitted up to this point are being set in a different ranking. This temporary ranking list is updated constantly. Now, after this negotiation period has finished or has been extended, this temporary list is a final list, becomes a final list, and is communicated to all the participants within 2 hours after the ending of the period. And also the amount of GOs that were distributed, that they were bought. All participants have the right to pay 150 euros in order to object until the next day, within the next 24 hours. If the objection is accepted, then a different procedure starts. Of course, these objections are documented and examined by a committee, and the bid might be even cancelled. In any case, 7 days after the end of the bid, all the results are final.
Η εκαθάριση των συναλλαγών. Η εκαθάριση των συναλλαγών έχει δύο σκέλη. Πρώτον, τον οικονομικό και έπειτα τον φυσικό διακανονισμό. Ο οικονομικός διακανονισμός.
The liquidation of all
κάθε συμμετέχον ο οποίος έχει κατακυρώσει εγγυήσεις προέλευσης.
Each participant that has won his bidding is obliged to pay his financial obligation. The financial obligation is the price, of course, that he has offered and the amount of GOs that he has secured according to the final final ranking list. He also has to pay 2 cents for each GO that has been awarded to him. His obligation is the difference between the financial obligation and the amount that has already been paid to the DAPEEP amount before the beginning of the bid, which is the guarantee for his participation. And after the invoice is issued, it is sent to the participants, and the payment must be done up to 5 days after the reception of the invoice. After the participant has paid for the GOs that he has bid for, then we have the regulation, meaning the transfer of the GOs to the account of the participant, whether this account is in the Greek registry or another European registry. Now we are bidding, right now we will bid the GOs that span over a period for 3 months, but the GOs are given, are issued for a month. We have described that in this case, we are going to distribute GOs. For example, we will bid right now GOs for October, November, and December of 2023. When the results are certified and finished, we will first distribute the December GOs to the people that are higher in the participants list. And after these guarantees are finished, are distributed, we will move forward to November and then to October. And the reason is why these GOs have an expiration date. After the end of the production date, 12 months after that, the GO will expire. So the GOs for December 2023 will expire in December 2024. November 23 will expire on November 24. So we'll first distribute the ones that have a longer life shelf, let's say, to those who have paid a higher price during the bidding. Here I have a little list of the amounts of GOs that have been distributed that will be bidded in June 26. The first product will be auctioned at 11 in the morning. We have 648,000 GOs approximately. They have to do with the fourth quarter of 2023. And they have to do with solar panel energy. Let me remind you that all those solar panel parks have started being operational after January 1st of 2021, and they are subsidized, and they are all part in the interconnected system.
Στην δεύτερη δημοπρασία,
Correspondingly, at the second auction,
που ξεκινάει στις 2 η ώρα,
it starts at
το
2
πακέτο
o'clock.
των εγγύσεων πρόληψης που θα δημοπρατηθεί είναι 230.000.
We will auction 230,000 approximately GOs issued in Q4 of 2023. We're talking about wind farms. They are subsidized and they have been connected to the grid after January 1st, 2021.
Και τελευταία στήλη είναι το προϊόν που θα δημοπρατηθεί αργότερα.
And lastly, we will bid at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Και αφορά αρκετά λιγότερες εγγύησεις προέλευσης.
Much less GOs, a smaller number of GOs that have to do with wind farms
σε νησιά που δεν είναι
that are in
στο δίκτυο.
islands that are not interconnected to the grids, for stations that have been subsidized and have been operational after the 1st of January 2021, and it has to do with Q4 of 2023. In the last lines over there, you can see the months corresponding to the production. Thank you so much for your attention.
Λάτε, καθίστε.
Thank you very much. You have provided precious details. So, Mr. Andonopoulos will now take the floor to analyze the platform and the documents needed for such process. Let me remind you that participants attending online may scan the QR code to submit their questions online, so that following Mr. Andonopoulos' presentation, we will have time to receive and answer questions, take and answer questions. Thank you very much. Let me welcome you. Let me welcome those present here today and those attending online. I will talk to you about the registration and about the declaration of participation in the auctions. Here you see the website. I will help you navigate through it for you to be able to trace all useful information. This is the DAPEEP website. I would like to kindly ask the technicians to help me move to the second slide, if possible.
Δεν έχετε από εκεί δυνατότητα χειρισμού,
Όχι.
Το είχαμε ρυθμίσει να έχω μόνο... να είναι duplicate, να μην είναι διπλή οθόνη.
Λοιπόν, όσο περιμένουμε τη δεύτερη σελίδα της
So while waiting for Mr. Andonopoulos to resume, let me once again repeat that you can scan the QR and send your questions electronically. Are we ready? Let's see. Yeah, we're ready. So, for information about the auctions, you have a drop-down menu for the GOs. Here you'll find the regulation, which includes the RAE decision, and there will soon be an official...
Το πρόγραμμα των δημοπρασιών εδώ πέρα είναι τα τεχνικά φύλλα όπως σας έκανε
There will be a presentation of all necessary information as well as the translation. Here we see the technical sheets of all auctions. This is for photovoltaics, for example, the wind of the non-connected islands, and so on and so forth. All announcements will be published as well. And as far as the documents for the participation are concerned, you will be able to be informed on all necessary documents. And you'll have all information both in Greek and English, and the application form as well. Moreover, the access to the auction bidding platform, both in Greek and in English, with all the links that you may use and follow for your registration in the portal, and the results of the bidding process will be published here as well. Now, we will also be talking about the registry of participants, the right to be registered, the process, the participation in the bidding process, who is entitled to participate, how are they to declare their intention to participate, and what are the milestones for the first auction of the 26th of June. The participants' registry is electronic. Every legal person can apply if they have an account of GO in our registry, if they have a GO account in any other member state of the European Union, or in a third country that has an agreement, a GO agreement with the European Union. It is necessary for such an account to be connected to the AB hub, so that the settlement will take place electronically, or the registry in the country of the applicant needs to have the ex-domain cancellation process. The registry applications can be submitted anytime. It is an open procedure. However, applications that are submitted later than the 15 days prior to the bidding process are examined after the process. Then a fee needs to be paid amounting to 1,000 euros plus VAT to the account indicated by the DAPEEP, and for bidders of other countries of the European Union, member states, are not subject to VAT. So every applicant, every interested person should provide the following: the application of registration, which may be found traced on our site. This is a form, an application. In the first part, we have the data of the applicant, the brand name, the registry number, the VAT, the fiscal office, the competent fiscal office, the representative, and the contact person. Then in the second part, the applicant needs to declare the accounts kept in our registry or in a registry abroad. It is important for all of you to know that the accounts that you will declare here, one of such accounts could also be declared for the physical settlement for the allocated GOs on the basis of the bidding process. So if you haven't declared, if you don't declare an account here, then we won't be able to execute the physical settlement, and we will ask for more documents, for additional documents. This is well, the copy. We also need the copy of your payment, and let us now talk about some other documents, legalization documents. Bidders who are holders of an account in our registry don't have to present such documents, for they have been audited and their documents have been audited upon application to become part of the registry. In case of amendments or modifications or changes in such data, you need to document the data, to update rather the data in the registry as per the terms and conditions agreement signed with us. For bidders headquartered abroad, well, they need to submit such legalization documents described in Article 5 of the regulation, which prove the legal representation of the bidder. The bidder should also submit a certificate from the competent authority of the state where he or she resides, proving the changes in the company. If such certificate is not available, because we're not available, I mean, we're not in the position to know all legislations and all structures, well, they can submit the articles of association with a date that coincides or that abides by the registration in our registry. Moreover, one more certificate of good standing is necessary that needs to be issued by the competent authority of the country, stating that the company is active, that there is no liquidation or bankruptcy procedure, etc. Lastly, in case of documents about companies headquartered abroad, well, all such documents need to be updated and translated with an apostille, translated into Greek. We need the seals of the embassy, and we need official translations by official translators. Then we need the single certificate of solvency that needs to be issued by an independent auditor, and for businesses, companies that are headquartered abroad, which do not have such a certificate, well, they can submit a declaration of solvency either through the balance sheet bearing the signature of the manager or an auditor. But in any case, the DAPEEP, our body, may require further guarantees or additional documents if not covered by what will be submitted by the applicant. Lastly, we need to know the accounts, the active accounts, as said earlier, that are accompanied by certification of registry. There are some registries who do not submit such certifications of registry. Well, in this case, you can send us a screenshot of your account with showing the data of your company and the status of your account, which needs to be active. And we, as a member of the AB and as collaborators of the relevant registries, we will ask for a confirmation that such accounts are active. Now, let's shift to the participation in the bidding process. All those registered in the registry, geo registry, are entitled to participate in the bidding process, and they shouldn't have any pending issues or any amounts due from previous bidding processes. Mrs. Koulibaly said about the participation, said that participants, those interested in participating in the bidding process, should submit by noon of the 10th day before the bidding process the following documents: the application for participation with an affidavit, including an affidavit, and with the affidavit they need to declare that there are no changes in the data submitted in the registry, and with the application of participation they need to clarify the auctions, the bidding processes they need to participate in. For example, the one on the 26th of June, with 3 objects or items being auctioned, and they need to choose the items. And they need to also declare how the PEP, how they wish the PEP to actually manage the financial data. And they need to also present the receipt of payment, the payment that they have submitted for such process. So let me show you now an application, a participation application. I will be using the English version to facilitate our online participants. So I hope that you can all see my screen. So once again, these are the data of the company, like in the registry. If there are issues here, rather if there are changes in the data already submitted, we will ask for an updating of such data, and for an updating of the legal representatives. If the declaration to participate is a different person than the one in the registry, we will need to go through the legalizing documents once again. And you need to declare the geo account, one of those declared in the registry, for the physical settlement of the quotas that should be allocated to this person following the bidding process. And they should also need to declare the country of that account. The important part is right here when declaring the bidding processes bidders wish to participate in. This is a template that abides by the details of the auction to take place at the end of the month, including the 3 items to be auctioned, photovoltaics, for example, the time of the auction. So they will need to click I want to participate. Then when it comes to the amount of the guarantee, we have a cap for the validity audit. So for every auction, and whether regardless of what the bidder will declare, well, the amount declared can be split to the 3 different auctions, and that will actually determine the validity of the participation. So bidders may split their amount to all 3 items, and the totality of the amount will be placed here, where I'm showing with my pointer, having chosen what documents will be presented. So here bidders will have to select whether they have a letter of credit, and how do they wish the DAPEEP to manage the rest of the money, and they need to declare the account details, and then in the cases of a letter of credit, how they wish to the DAPEEP to manage the rest of the amount.
Now, finally, I would like to show you this little list with the important dates, the registration to the platform, which are open procedures. There's no time limit for the registration. The participants can do it throughout the duration, but for the participation in each scheduled bidding, there is a specific date for the submission of all the necessary documents in order for the DAPEEP to be able to control all those documents. So they have to be submitted at least 15 days before the beginning of the auction. Now, when we talk about the bid at the 26th of the month, they have a time period until the 11th of June in order to submit the documents. Then all these documents are controlled by the DAPEEP. They're being registered in the registry of participants, and we communicate to the participants that their registration is complete. After that, they have the possibility to submit their participation documents until, let's say, the 26th of the month. They will give us the participation documents and the affidavit, as well as the letter of guarantee, up until 10 days before the beginning of the auction at noon. Specifically, the 17th of June at noon. After that, after we have finished with the participants, the DAPEEP will publish the final list of the participants on the 21st of June until noon. And all the people that are in this list and have been registered and have activated their access codes that will be given to them up until half an hour before the first auction begins. This is the process. I tried not to tire you. I hope that you have all read the regulations, so you know what I wanted to say, and that's all from me. Thank you, Mr. Adonopoulos. Are there any questions that have been sent by message by our participants? Anyone who wants to ask a question can scan this QR code and we can begin with the Q&A. Are there any questions? Now, I'm starting with, wait for the microphone, please. Please tell us your name. Good afternoon. My name is Philippos Chouliaras from the PPC. I would just like a clarification for Mr. Adonopoulos. Until Tuesday, the 11th of the month, this is what you said. If there are, if that inside the dossier, there are documents missing. For example, the solvency certificate does not last for 60 days. We're going to ask you for a more updated version of this document. And we will examine We will examine the updated certificate, and you will have until the 17th of the month to register. You can send your documents until the 11th, and all extra updated documents will be accepted until the 17th. So if the participant delays in sending the updated documents, maybe he will even lose the deadline. He will miss the deadline. So until the 17th, the dossier must be complete and correct. Yes. The question is off the microphone. The folder must be submitted until the 11th, and if there is an issue with the certificate, it must be updated. And we can, if you can send it within this amount of time until the 17th, the dossier must be complete and updated. Thank you. The question is off the microphone. What we wanted to clarify is the following. There are specific deadlines, and the deadlines are not just random. We need an operational facility for that. When we set a deadline for the 11th, it means that we are expecting the applications until the 11th. If there is a problem, which of course is understandable, it might happen. There is also a small amount of time, but nobody can come at the 17th in the morning and give us the dossier. It will be rejected. The deadline is until the 11th. If there is a need for a clarification or an update, or there is a document that needs to be clarified or researched, there is this 6-day limit also. And also, let me add, there is a committee. There is a committee that will explore this process. I will be a part of this committee, which will solve all these problems or objections that might appear. The rule of thumb is the 11th of the month. We need to respect the deadlines. The deadlines are there in order for us to have the time to prepare the process. There is a bad habit in Greece of doing everything at the last possible moment, as we do with our taxes, for example, but in that way we won't be able to do this process seamlessly. Let me also add something to that. Well, obviously, if you submit your dossier without all the necessary documents, and having in mind that I have until the 17th, no, this will not be accepted. If there is a small correction that needs to be made, or a document that is not updated, or is not mandatory, okay, we can work with that. But if the dossier is not full, is not complete, it will not be accepted. The extension of 5 minutes, is it automatic? Yes, it is. The 1,000 euros affidavit fee, what does it cover? If you give an affidavit to the DAPEEP will be able to bid on your behalf for just one bid. There is no amendment for that. Other question. Can we register ourselves in the participants registry if we are registered in the registry of another country? Yes. What is the duration of the letter of guarantee? 6 months after the auction. In the first auction, is it obligatory to submit a bid for all 3 months of production? Paragraph 8 is not quite clear of the regulation. No, the paragraph is very clear. It says that when you take part in an auction that bids, for example, photovoltaics for October until December, you cannot pick and choose the month. You just buy the GOs that have to do with a monthly production, but you cannot choose whether it's going to be for October or November or December. You just take part in the bid. After the bid is over and we have the list of the winners, we will distribute the GOs for this 3-month period. With the reasoning I explained before, the person who gave a higher price will have the ones from December. The one who gave the lower price will take the GOs for October, which will last less. This product is unified, let's say, per megawatt per hour. Why do we do the auction separately between solar panels and wind farms? Because there is a European directive for that. Other countries do that too. The buyers of GO can make a distinction between the products. But let me remind you that the GO has a lot of information on them, not just the geographical location. We choose some of the characteristics in order to group them, and we do it because they have a different price, actually. The European bids have a different price according to the product, whether it's a wind park or a photovoltaic or the geolocation. All those things affect the price. Mr. Adonopoulos, everybody's asking for your presentation to be sent to them. Yes, we will upload it so that they can see it again. Any other questions here? It's nice to be close to each other. We understand each other better. So if we're good, no other questions online. So we're going to have a short break as per the agenda, and we will be back with the last presentation by Mr. Petmezas regarding the informatic system and the entire submission process. Thank you. So let me invite you to come back. Can you all hear me? Let me all call you back to take your seats. And before I invite to the podium Mr. Petmezas, we will present the platform. Mr. Petmezas will come. So let me call you back to take your seats before I invite Mr. Petmezas to the podium. We have a question from the online participants.
The bidding process of the 26th June
And they can also take part on behalf of someone else if a big producer, for example, or someone that represents a lot of producers wants to bid the geos, they can do it in the future. But right now, we are the ones that bid the geos that are under our account because they are subsidized and they have been operational after the 1st of January 2021.
The DAPEEP will implement the auction of the geos that are under our jurisdiction. But we may receive an application from an entity to also bid other geos. Well, that will be the subject of a debate, which will constitute yet another product. Like now, we will be bidding photovoltaics, wind electricity, and technologies from islands that are not connected to the grid. So the products that are created on different occasions, they will become the object of a different study or assessment. Later in time, we may have a different bidding process of another package of products, of another package of products. We will be beginning with 3 bidding processes, one on the 26th of June, one on the 24th of September, and one on the 15th of December, if I remember correctly. And such bidding processes will auction the packages of the trimesters pertaining to 1 year ago. So our objective is from January onwards to proceed with monthly bidding processes because the market will open even more, and the products that will be auctioned will also be opened. So there will be a wider variety of products to be auctioned. The objective is to maximize the benefit in the favor of ELAPE, of the special account of the RES. This is our objective. We're not organizing auctions for the sake of auctions. Auctions, bidding processes are a means to maximize the income in favor, the revenues in favor of this special account. We will come up with other products as well. Products which, apart from their value, will also have the necessary price, because I'd like to make a distinction here between value and price. Value is immaterial, but price is material, and price is what creates the influx or the inflow of money to this special account. We are embarking upon a most arduous journey, but we have equipped and we are equipping ourselves with the necessary tools to achieve our objectives successfully. And please bear in mind that for us, the DAPEEP, this bid is a new day, marks a new day. It's a new process that marks the beginning of a different and broader route or itinerary in the RES milieu environment. And I want all of you, all the bodies in the market and involved in this process, I want you to keep in mind that our managing authority, the financial services and the whole support system of our body will do anything possible to make this process succeed. And I'd like to take this opportunity to underline something that was mentioned by Dionysis Papachristou, who knows about bidding processes of RES projects. Deadlines are deadlines and must be kept. We will take into consideration eventually certain cases when we have, when there is a legalization document missing, etc. However, that doesn't mean that there will be cases that will reach the deadline of the 11th of June, let's say, because meaning to say that we will receive applications with no documents at all, and then, you know, with the pledge that the documents will arrive later. No, such applications will be rejected. I understand the case when eventually one document is missing, but that's a completely different case. And we need to have a clear indication and proof that we will receive it in the coming days. And this is part of doing business. This is feasible and acceptable. But having an application with legalization documents that are non-existent and that are not ready yet and that will eventually reach us in the future, well, no. Such applications won't be accepted. Deadlines are valid and serious, and they need to be abided by. And this process wouldn't be serious without deadlines and rules. So an exception for one document, which we will receive on a specific date to be indicated, that would be okay. But like applying with no documents whatsoever won't be possible. So such applications will be rejected. And I hope that I've made myself clear. Thank you. Thank you. Let me now give the floor to Mr. Petmezas, who will be presenting CPED, the information system. Managing Director, dear members attending, let me begin the presentation at the point where Mr. Yarendis in his presentation spoke about Cosmo One. He said that Cosmo One is experienced. This is why we've chosen them. But the scissors wife must also be visible. So Cosmo One is an entity that operates in the field of competitions for procurements, but also for sales. It was founded in 2000. It has developed a series of applications, and every application meets the requirements, rather corresponds to a specific stage of a process. So with reference to property and assets and their valorization, we have a series of experiences having to do with auctions when bodies wish to maximize their benefits. So we see public but also private companies, and then on the right part of the slide you see energy sectors with similar auctions. So it all started in 2012 with the purchase of natural gas. We implemented auctions with DAPEEP. Then RAI, the regulatory authority, started with a digital transformation of auctions from the moment of application with connection with the banks and so on and so forth. Mr. Papachristou was a pioneer in that, and he was the one to implement it. Then Laye, then we passed to the energy and to the DAPEEP. The DAPEEP has the experience of all previous bodies, and this is to make you feel reassured and calm. We had a neutral technology bidding process with photovoltaics and wind turbines. Here are the numbers. 7,250 bidding auctions amounting to 5,500,000,000. So the numbers are high. The company has been awarded 2 important awards. Well, we've actually received 11 awards, but 2 about energy. In 2010, an international award for the electronic energy auctions, and in 2019 for a specific application platform, rather, for online application to the regulatory authority. Online applications to the regulatory authority. We've been audited by the European Court of Auditors, and they say that the critical point for an auction is to actually make sure that the trust of the bidders and all participants is there. So we will guarantee transparency, security, and reliability. So let us now see what are the systems Mr. Yarendis spoke about. What is green is Cosmo One. The process starts as follows. The bidder wishing to participate needs to register the participant. He receives the codes, he enters the e-tender platform, fills in what is necessary, makes it a PDF and sends it back. Then DAPEEP receives everything. DAPEEP audits and controls, approves or disapproves, and invites for the bidding process. Sends the invitation for the bidding process. This was the system. To sum up. What I will be showing now is an example. We will make the registration. We will submit an application as a participant to be part of the registry. We'll take the documents, fill them in, then we'll we will send them to the e-tender platform, and then we'll show you some bids from the auction system, the bidding system. And lastly, that in conclusion, we may also touch on a series of frequent questions and answers about the process. So the first step would be to register. The registration of any legal person for the person to be entitled to use the platform. If such a legal person, due to the regulatory authority or other authorities, have already been registered in our platform, then the only thing they need to do is to remember their codes for them to be able to enter. So they don't need to register once again. So by entering the VAT number, the platform is connected with Aave and finds the data of the company represented with the fiscal authorities, that is. By entering the TIN number. So we have the PETAR company. The fields with the star need to be filled in. They are obligatory. So we add details such as a phone number, the person in charge, the email, and so on and so forth. And we give the email, we enter the email we want to, of the people we want to be notified about invitations from other users that wish to invite them to certain events. We also enter the headquarters, and the person who registers also needs to declare the field of operation according to the CPV European standard. So this is not just going to be a list of companies registered in a platform, but a structured list with a specific classification of all companies on the basis of their object of the field of operation. So, for example, photovoltaics, and if the PEP or any other body, any other company operating in the field of photovoltaics wishes to find information about them, they can do so. This is a review of a review of what we have submitted and rather filled in, and we've registered. We will receive our codes, and by using them, we have registered in the Cosmo One platforms, and we now can have access to systems of electronic bidding processes and competitions. So now let us, with our codes, enter as participants and submit a registration application for DAPEEP, with DAPEEP. Mrs. Gelba will give her floor to Mr. Rakovitis, who is the director of the professional service of our company. Cosmo One is not a vendor of software. We are a provider. So we don't just give a software to the PEP. We also offer operational support and also counseling as to how to operate such platform better.
You can enter your credentials, your password, and you can find yourselves in this dashboard that you can see here. We have two different applications that will be used in this process. Source one on the right, which has to do with your application in order for you to participate in the registry. And before each auction, you can submit your application for the participation. Then on the day of the bidding, you can use this second system here on the left, the auction one. We'll show it to you right away. Let's see source one at first, how you can locate the DAPEEP information so that you can apply for the registration in the participants registry. In this homepage, inbox on the left, you can click on all tenders. You can search the registry by its title or by the DAPEEP name. And you can find, as you can see here, a tester, how to register on the participants registry. At this point, you can click the button on the lower right corner, new reply. And in that way, you can start preparing your dossier. These two things are important here, these two tabs. One of them is attachments and notes. Here you can find samples of the application, the regulations, etc. And then in your participation application, you will find the corresponding documents. The second important tab is the communication tab. Source one also offers a communication channel with DAPEEP regarding the registry or any other issue regarding the tenders. If you have any questions or DAPEEP wants to ask something from you, you can find the messages there. So how can I send a communication to DAPEEP? I click here on the little cross, I write my message. I can attach the documents that I want, and I click send. So as you can see here, I have an outgoing message to supplier DAPEEP. It is my test account, and I have sent. Also, you can find all the communications in this tab. In case that you receive a message, you can see all your messages. There is a little bell here, a notification bell, and you can see the messages that are pending. Let me also add something, Christos. This practically means that the old method, I sent you an email, I faxed you, I called you, I didn't find the email, I lost my fax, the email went to spam. All these things are over. All the communication between the participants and DAPEEP will take place through this system. As you can see, there is a tender log, it registers everything, and there is no doubt for anything. There is an analytical log so that there are no doubts regarding communication, whether someone received the email or when did they send the email. Everything must go through this message, this application. So this is the homepage again, and let's go make a new dossier for the registration in the participants registry. I click here, new reply. The system loads the list of the supporting documents needed for the registry. You can see the supporting documents here one by one, and whether something is obligatory or not. The non-obligatory ones are under specific prerequisites. So the system will demand the obligatory ones, and it will not allow you to submit your dossier without all those obligatory documents. So how do you attach the attachments? For each specific document, there is a little safety pin, this little red tab there, and I can pick the document from my computer. And of course, you can upload more than one attachments in each line. I have some test ones here so that I can show you. For example, we need the affidavit here. So I'm going to find this PDF or document, and I will upload it. In the same way, I will complete all the other attachments. The proof of payment for the registration, all the legalizing documents, this certificate here for solvency. And let's say that I forget my verification of geo account. I can recheck my attachments. I can see that all these paper clips are green, except for the last one, because it is not obligatory. In this next step, all this information are gathered automatically after the registration, as Mrs. Kelpa showed you before. The contact person, the information about the company, etc. And the final step, you can take a look, you can have an overview of your dossier. You can click on each attachment separately and see what are the documents that you have included. You can also download them in order to see if they are indeed correct. The communication information, contact person. And by clicking on the final offer or reply submission, the system asks you whether you're sure that you want to submit this application, and the system takes your dossier, accepts it, it seals it, and sends it to the organizer of the tender. And this green bar is the confirmation that your dossier has been successfully submitted. At any given moment, you can see, you can take a look, your dossier, click on it and see your documents. So the DAPEEP will internally control those documents, your dossier. And now let's take a look at the second application. Let's say that an option appears and you need to send your dossier in order to participate in this specific auction. Now, it is the same reasoning behind that. You can find through inbox all the tenders based on the title or their name or the body that is responsible for those. You find the tender that interests you, and this is the application to take part in this tender. There is a similar environment as the one that we saw before. We have the details here of your application, new reply, sorry. On the attached documents, you can see the samples that have been prepared by DAPEEP, along with the letters of guarantee, the affidavit, all the technical information, etc. And there's also the communication channel, where you can send a question and DAPEEP will reply back to you. So in the same way, for this specific tender, you can see that you need to upload these two documents, an affidavit and an application for the participation, and you can upload them in the same way as we saw previously. Let's say that this is a PDF document, and also the letter of guarantee, which is also obligatory. Next step, you enter your information. Some of them are automatically filled in, and the contact information. One last glance. And you submit your folder with the final submission. The system will accept the dossier and will send it for auditing to the DAPEEP. The next step, the DAPEEP will have access to your documents, and it creates a short list of the people that will participate in the actual tender. So they will communicate with you first, and you will need to access the marketsite.gr and choose the application of electronic tenders. Mrs. Geba will come back to the podium now to explain how the tender system works. The question is off the microphone, I'm sorry. The communication will remain open for the entire duration of the tender. It is the official channel, the official communication channel. Now, good afternoon again. I will connect as an auctioneer to show you the bidding page and bid with you in order for you to see how the tender happens. Until Mrs. Gelba connects to the system, before the tender, the company will notify you 1 or 2 days before in order for the interested parties to do a test auction. What you're going to see right now will take place 1 or 2 days before the auction, the actual tender. It's going to be a dry run, as we call it. All the people that have been accepted will be able to do a test drive, let's say, so that you can communicate afterwards with Cosmo One if you have any questions, any problem, so that they can participate in the auction. Mrs. Koulivari, of course, will announce that as well. Those of you that have any questions that have to do with the applications to Cosmo One will be to her. If you have any questions on the regulation, we'll go to DAPEEP. Here on the lower hand side of the page, you can find our email, our support, our phone number, and as you can see here on the right, you will find our chat. You can chat with us on real time so that we can solve your problems, your questions. Now, later on, let's say that we have completed the entire process with the supporting documents and our participation in the tender. At least 2 days before the tender, we will participate in the trial. The link is the application here that says Δημοπρασίες, tender in Greek. You will log in and you will find the entire tender center, and you will see all the tenders to which you have been invited to take part in. It's going to mention that it is a test tender. You can use the system, you can enter the system and test your equipment, first of all. Is everything working properly? Can you submit your bid? And on the day of the actual tender, on the 26th, there are 3 tenders simultaneously. If you have been invited to those projects, you will see the tenders that you're interested in. You can click on the name of the tender so that you can see the bidding console, or you can click on the checkbox here. So practically, if the participants in the tender are taking part in all 3 lots on the 26th, the 3 tenders, you will only find 3 tenders. The first one that opens at 11, the second one at 2, and the third one at 5. This is a demo system. So you saw all the tenders there, but you won't have to look for it. If you have been accepted in taking part in 3 tenders, you will see just those 3 tenders. Now, this is the tender electronic page. You can see here on the right all the information that you need. It has to do with the time the tender will start and it will finish. And of course, what's going on in the tender, if the tender is open or if it has closed. If it's open, you can submit your bids. Now, let me explain these 3 fields here, and I'm going to talk later about the finishing time as to connect it with the extension, as Mrs. Koulouvari said before. Everything that you can see here on the screen can give you some information. Of course, this tender, like I said, this is a test, it's fake. Let's say that the initial price is €1. For today's demonstration, we set €1. While in the actual tender, it starts from 10 cents, 0.10. Available amount, 300,000. The remaining amount, you can see what remains during the tender and the bids that have been accepted. And of course, all the available GOs. It has been set from the beginning. And at the last accepted offer, when we start bidding, you will see the actual number. And this little I that has been slashed, it's a hidden tab. You cannot see it. The parameters. I have the price with which you are allowed to augment the offer, to augment the bid. This, for example, is 0.10. And the quantity, here is the quantity tab. You can write the quantity that you want for this specific project and then submit it. And of course, there is a little square here with which you declare to the system that this tender, if you want this tender to be valid for the entire quantity. So I will make a bid now. We have 3 more laptops here in the room, and we have built this little scenario so that you can see the system. This is what the participant sees. This is a little scenario that we have fixed. The users 4, 6, 7, and 8.
So we start with price 1, and depending on how it's gonna work, we'll make 2 or 3 bids we will be watching the green bidder, user number 4, and the other 3 bidders will be using their laptops. So I'll be the one to start, given as the unit price 1 and the quantity of 300,000. Let me repeat. So that's my offer. I submit it, and I'll see the message that my bidding has been approved. And in the field quantity, I see what I have asked for and what I will be receiving. So in this case, I will be receiving what I have asked for. That's the guaranteed quantity. So the first bidder asked for everything that was available. Now user 6 will require 100,000 as a quantity, but he won't get anything because the system classified the 2 bids on the basis of the unit price and on the basis of the quantity. What was the best quantity? The first one. So the number 6 won't receive anything, and from 1 he'll go to 1.10. So a new classification is done by the system. 110 now prevails and gives the 100,000 he required, and that is deducted from the 300,000 of the previous bidder, and he now gets 200,000. Who now gets 200,000? So if asking for 300, if you can't have 300, you won't be able to get anything. So user number 7 now. No. So this is a scenario. I, user 4, I enter with 1.10 with 300,000, and I am actually applying for the whole quantity. And I get it back again. And we could be using many different examples for you to familiarize yourself, but you do realize how easy it is to change the price and the quantity. And I will now show you a series of questions and answers about classification. But the help desk through the support email can explain everything. So before the bidding auction, we'll have some pilot auctions, test auctions. And we will explain the fields that you see here and the rules that apply. Shall we continue with one more process? So without, rather, I will now try to submit an offer that will not be accepted for you to see how rejected biddings will look like. And then I would also like to show something that goes beyond my letter of credit, my letter of guarantee. This is the history of the biddings that I have submitted as a bidder. So I don't see the competition. I just see what I have here in my table. Every bidder has an ID, and every bidding also has an ID. Every bid, that is. So we can trace anytime the history of every bidding process and the status of the other bidders. Is there anything else you'd like to see? Are there any questions so far? Let me share one last detail because I promised so. Oh, there is a question, apparently. So in the last thing that you said about the letter of credit or guarantee rather, the offer was €1, and you got an observation here. Well, my guarantee here is a different one, not the one that I have inserted in the system. But you'll get the message that you'll get the specific message anyway. So, with reference to the time of the end time, so all letters become red before the end time, showing that we have 1 minute to submit our offer. And letters may become green, and we will be granted 5 more minutes as an extension for our bidding process. So the letters will turn green in this case and red when we will only have 1 more minute. And if we wish to renew, to extend the time for our bidding process. And we will then be granted 5 more minutes. So what can be the price of the first bid that I will submit? The unit price should be equal or higher than the starting price. So 0.10 in this case. If you put 0.5 or 0.2, it won't be accepted. What are the criteria for the control of the first bidding? Well, it needs to be done within the time allocated, not before it starts, not when it ends. The quantity can't be negative or rather less or more than the available one. The price of the bidding and the coverage of the limit of the guarantee letter, of the guarantee. So this is very important. Can I make a new bid requesting quantity that will be lower than the one guaranteed, committed rather to me? No, because the system always aims at improving the result. So if you have asked for 1,000, you can't really ask for 500 because this is a deterioration. It's not an improvement, and the system doesn't allow so. Number 4, the coverage of the letter of guarantee. I'm sorry, but oh yeah. So if a company has calculated that the price will be €1 and the quantity, and if the company wishes to buy all, and if the letter of guarantee is 200,000 and gives a price of €1 and submits a guarantee letter, a letter of guarantee of 200,000, and suddenly the price goes up to €3. What happens in this case? Is there a bit of margin to change the letter of guarantee? No. Well, I already know the answer, but I would appreciate your clarification. Every bidder should have double the amount of the letter of credit and should always check the multiplication of the bid and the quantity. So the bidder needs to calculate well and to prepare well and to also leave a bit of margin in the case of an auction that would allow him to claim even a higher quality than the one calculated. So if you calculate that the price will be 3, and you want 100,000 guarantees, well, 3 per 100,000, 300,000. Yeah, but if you have less competition and the price won't reach 3, you will have the possibility to actually get more than you had envisaged. So you need a letter of guarantee that is of a higher amount for you to have this possibility. That's a limitation that needs to be taken into consideration by the participants. In the first auction, where the unit price is yet unknown, well, there is a question mark. The participant says, shall I submit a higher letter of guarantee? And if the price goes very low, I will have used a letter of guarantee that what will happen? And Mrs. Koulouvari says, letters of guarantees that are not covered, what happens to them? The participant declares with the application what he wants us to do with his letter of guarantee. We may send it back, return it, send it back. Yeah, this is what I wanted to clarify, that the letter of guarantee that is not covered is sent back to the participant. Next question, can I make a new bid with the price of the previous accepted one? Yes, but on the prerequisite rather, that on the condition that you will have increased the quantity. Improvement of quantity means for a specific quantity, I raise my price. For the same unit price, I raise my quantity, or both. If two participants make a bid with the same price and the same quantity, which is considered to be the best? Well, the one that reaches the system first. This is why you never actually, there are no equal, if I may say so, biddings. There are participants who actually submit their biddings very early, so that they have the privilege of time at times. My bidding has been accepted. Does this mean that all the quantity will have been given to me? The one that I have submitted? No, this is not to be taken for granted. That depends on the classification. How does a full or complete quantity function? If you don't select the specific field, this means that on the basis of your classification, I mean, the distribution reaching the person before you, if it leaves a number of GOs that are higher than what you're asking, you will get it. But if the residual is 200 and you're asking for 300, if you have chosen full quantity, you won't get nothing, because 300 doesn't fit in the 200 that you're asking. So that's a tricky one. Can I change my selection full quantity during the bidding? Yes, but with every different bid, you can make a change with a new bid, though. From the time that a certain quantity has been allocated to me, does it mean that it now belongs to me, that it is mine? No, because the bidding process is going on, and the quantity that you have committed that is committed to you may change because others may prevail. And the temporarily committed quantity has been reduced. What should I do? Well, you need to improve your bidding, your bid. I improved my bid in terms of quantity, maintaining the price. Well, it was accepted, but the quantity remains the same like before. This means that you didn't really improve your bid that much, so the classification put you at the same position. So the result of the allocation is the same. Though I had lost the quantity that I had committed, I saw that that part of it was recovered, or even all of it, without a new bid. How is this explained? Classification changed. Someone had chosen full quantity. It wasn't satisfied, and this is why your quantity was recovered. Can I see the bids that I have submitted so far? Yes, you click the info button and you see the prices, the quantities, the timing of your bid, and the results. When is the bidding extended or deferred? If in the 5 last minutes before the end time, starting at 11, let's say. I mean, yeah. And if within the deferment there are bids that change the classification again, then there is a new extension of time. So there can be an unlimited number of extensions to the benefit of the operator, but also to the benefit of those who wish to have a specific number of GOs. I have a problem of connection until the end of the bidding process. This is something that will be explained in the guides that we will be distributing. Bidding processes have a certain limit of time, so you need to occupy 2 different positions in your company. So if one PC has an issue, you will be able to proceed with the other one. Or maybe you should connect from your premises, like from one office, and then another person from another office. And if something happens, you can pass your codes to each other to proceed. Cosmo 1 is responsible from the moment the bid reaches the system. What happens before is not our responsibility. We can't control the quality of your network connection or of your firewalls. But when you enter our systems, when you reach our systems, we're here for you and we'll be supporting you. Can I reconnect to the system? Yes. How can I minimize the possibility to not be able to participate? There are certain best practices. You need to participate in the trial runs to work with a few scenarios. I can the user for my company, can the user change? Yes. Yes, with the specific codes. And this can also happen during the bidding process. And because I've read in the terms that the access is available at 10:30, well, that doesn't mean that those who won't enter at 10:30 will be rejected. And this doesn't mean that if you're not present at 11, when it officially opens, that you have a problem. You can also enter at 11:15. There is a risk to that, of course, but you can do it. The DAPEEP wants you to be able to bid within the time frame from the beginning until the end of the auction process. And you can either bid and go away or stay. The system doesn't oblige you to stay. There are people who have a very specific budget, a fixed budget, so they can bid and go away, and whatever happens, they will be informed. Are there any questions?
like we said, the letter of guarantee covers about half of the double the amount that someone can buy, and he will not pay for the half. What about before he pays the entire amount, can he receive the GOs? No, if he doesn't pay the full amount, well, what does he get? He will get the GOs covered by the amount that he has already paid. The comments are off the microphone. Well, I have two questions online. One has to do with the previous section. The second, is the tender pay as bid? Yes, the answer is yes. Now, before I proceed with the first question that has to do with the previous section, does anybody have anything else to ask for this section that we just discussed? No. Now, the question that has to do with the previous section. After we submit the documents for the registration in our platform, how do we know that the application has been accepted? Through the communication tab. Through the system, you will receive a personal response that your application has been accepted or not. Or you need to amend this certificate or update this certificate within the specific period of time. I have one more question. If I do not set the amount of guarantee, and if I just enter the collective amount of the guarantee, what happens? For the auction to start, we, as the provider, we will take from DAPEEP the list of the approved participants. Along with this list, next to each participant, we will be able to see the amount of guarantee for each person, or until the highest amount he can bid. These are the caps that are included in the system before the beginning of the tender. So if it's not specified by the participants, I will include in the system whatever the DAPEEP tells me to do. If he wants to participate in 2 tenders, we need to solve this cap, this issue, which practically means that it needs to be communicated immediately. This is why we have this communication tab, and this is why we have the deadlines for the audit. How do you calculate the letter of guarantee that will be sent by the participant? We have answered that beforehand. It is the amount calculated with the maximum price that he can pay. He can buy up until the double the amount. And I think we are done. We can wait for a few minutes. There is a question from the audience now. Is there a minimum for the guarantees? Meaning if the guarantees have a limit? No. You mean the total of the guarantee? Each participant? No, I don't. You can guarantee as much money as you like. Just one extra note here on what Mr. Ilarendi said before, that a person can participate from abroad, or the DAPEEP will participate on his behalf. This electronic bidding system can be multilingual at the same time. For the same tender, the one that we have on the 26th of the month, for example, a Greek participant will see a Greek screen, another one can see it in English, or in Bulgarian, or in Romanian, or in German. So this facilitates the participation for companies that are not based in Greece. So I have no more online questions. Any other questions from the audience? Mr. Papachristou is laughing. I don't know why. The comment is off the microphone. I have done a tender, a real-time tender in Turkey that lasted for 18 hours for $22 million. And the system there was a bit different. You could see a list that had the quantity and the price, the quantity available and the price. And you could see in real time the fluctuations of the price. But the product was one. It was not pay as bid, it was paid as clear. And you could see that the last 3 minutes of the auction, the last 5 seconds, there were a lot of bids. And then again, on the next 3 minutes, and the next 3 minutes, etc., etc. So I have experienced such a lengthy tender. The tenders of ERA have a specific difference to the tenders of DAPEEP. RAE was a tender based on the lower price, the lower cost. But there was no extensions at the time because this could lower the price so much that the project could not be completed. But here we need the extensions because the extensions increase the price. So we really hope for a 50-hour extension even, because it will increase the price for the DAPEEP. Let me also add something. I understand that it can appear in the conversation. With Mr. Petmezas, we have to take a look to see if we organize a tender 2 days before. That will be a test one for the participants to enter, to do their bids, to buy what they want, in order to have a simulation. A simulation of what's going to happen on the 26th of the month. We're going to discuss that and we're going to announce it on time. Second thing, if someone buys a specific quantity and does not pay for it on the next day, these GOs will remain unsold. Those unsold GOs might be included in a tender a few days later. Because if those unsold GOs, we cannot wait until September because they will expire. Again, comment on the microphone. There is a penalty for the person that will not pay. He will not be able to take part in the next 2 tenders. I I don't want to. I don't want to think that we're going to have such type of phenomena, but in reality, anything might happen. From the beginning of the year, 2025, I really hope that we're going to have monthly tenders. And at the time, we're going to have a time period for the unsold GOs to move to the next month, to the next tender. Because we're not going to have the life cycle available and the GOs will expire. Right now, we have a period of time that is acceptable and we don't want these GOs to expire. So we will take a look, see if there is extra tender, an extraordinary tender, maybe a week later or 10 days later. But you will be notified by the website for everything. In case there are unsold GOs, we will examine this scenario. Any other questions? Those unsold GOs will not be given to the next person in line in the same tender. If they go to the first person, I don't know if we can support that. As a result, the system will give us a list of the people that buy GOs and the people that do not. If the DAPEEP wants, they can distribute the GOs, the unsold GOs, to the people that did not manage to buy any, according to the ranking, of course. Yes, this is a good solution. Of course, under the prerequisite that there will be the appropriate bidding. Or, I don't know, maybe we set a rule that the unsold GOs will be sold at the last available bid, the last acceptable bid. Let me add something. This auction is something that we do for the first time in our country. We have concluded auctions in different products. With RAI as well, and there is experience on that. We have never auctioned GOs before. This is the first time that we do it. It's going to be a live system that will be constantly improved. Of course, we have not solved all the issues, I think, but I believe that we are at a very good point right now. The colleagues and Cosmo One and Mr. Petmezas, everyone has worked very hard for that. We have collected a lot of information and experience, and we have studied almost every case we could think of. And I want to believe that it's going to go well. Of course, there's always an estimate that something will not function properly the way we designed it to, but we will be there to improve it, to correct it for the next time, and until we reach a maturity, which I hope will happen after January 1st, 2025. In a few months, we're gonna have we're gonna find our stride regarding the energy daily life. It's gonna be something common to auction GOs. So we are optimistic that everything will go well. and that we're not going to have any issues. I don't know if there are any other questions before we finish. Mr. Adonopoulos? I have a question that just arrived, and then we can close.
So the question is, maybe the amounts wouldn't need to be split, and maybe use in the second auction the surplus of the first. Well, we'll examine this possibility. I don't know if technically is possible. The first one is about photovoltaics, the other one about wind turbines and rather wind systems, and then the islands. And we will be talking about different products that will be auctioned on the same day, until we reach the point where we'll be able to create a system comprising mixed products and GOs, regardless of their technology. We're talking about the amount of the guarantee of participation. So a person submits the amount he wants for photovoltaics, and eventually state that if there is a residual part, maybe it can be used for the next object. But I believe that the guarantee doesn't make mention of the specific item. Well, we require the bidder to mention the amounts of money, the maximum amounts of money they will be bidding. Yeah, but the letter of guarantee, I'm not aware of the design details here. It is a matter of bidding validity. If the bidder goes beyond the amount that he has set as a limit, then the bid would be valid. Maybe a bidder wishes to participate in 2 bids with a plafond of 100,000. If the first bid ends with 70,000, if the 30,000 remaining can shift to the second one. Well, these are procedural issues. The new amounts should be set 1 hour earlier, the new plafonds. I don't know if you have already clarified it, but there is a point about duration. If constant extensions of time reach the point of actually scheduled for the second auction, or that of the second reaches the time of the third, and if an auction is not yet complete and we reach the time of the second one or the third one, the auction is not interrupted. It goes on. We just move the second and the third auctions. We change the time of the second and the third auction. So if a process is not yet complete, then the second process or the third process won't start when scheduled. The first needs to be completed, and then the second one will begin after, let's say, half an hour. So everybody will have time to prepare. And so this is how it's gonna work, so that there won't be any overlappings. But they won't take place in parallel. The duration needs to be further clarified. I'm sorry, but the comment was off the microphone, so I will only interpret the answers. Yes. Yeah, there will be information, real-time information about all changes in the process. Off the microphone. Every company can participate with a couple of codes, but the codes can't be used simultaneously. And can we enter through a mobile phone? Well, yeah, the screen is responsive, but if your screens are touch screens, mistakes are very, very possible, very easy. I wouldn't recommend using the mobile phone because mobile phones easily lose connection. Naturally, everything has turned into mobile now, but certain things need to be kept landline. Have we clarified what will happen with the letters of guarantee? Off the microphone. Off the microphone. This is a question about the previous point of eventually certain residuals being transferred to but this will be further elaborated. So today a meeting took place to explain the system, to show the platform, to talk about the regulation and to answer questions. I would say that tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, well, there may be a new question that wasn't answered today. Well, we'll do as follows. Eventual potential questions that could arise in the coming days, not like after 2 or 3 months. Well, we'll provide the answer and we will distribute it to all participants as additional answers. Maybe tomorrow a question comes up. So the question will be distributed and the answer as well to all participants so that everyone will be on the same page. All of us will be on the same page and we will all be based on the same information so that to avoid misunderstandings and gaps, communication gaps, because such gaps would create problems in the bidding process. Bear in mind that in England, this is something that there was a big competition and a pioneer thing happened. The organizer of the competition for a big project had invited all interested parties in the same room, and in real time all questions were answered. Regardless of whether you're able to see your competitor, I mean, certain things shouldn't really matter nowadays. So those who participate in a competition process must begin at the same starting point, and the same starting point presupposes that we all have the same information. hidden rules or hidden agendas or things that I know and you don't know, things that I have understood this way and other people understood differently. Well, these are all things that could give rise to uncertainty and to a lack of clarity. So this is our process. We want everything to be explained. We want to guarantee a process that will constitute a positive precedent, an example to follow, an example to follow for all future DAPEEP activities. I don't want to be negative, but there are other energy products which we as operators in the field of energy and the environments, which we would be willing to involve and to integrate in our activities. We have carbon credits as well, which are energy products not in the logic, within the logic of mandatory markets, but yeah, they exist. And we should also take those into consideration. And the energy tags, which is something even more advanced, and we'll start dealing with them in the near future. So in conclusion, allow me to thank you for your participation, firstly. Secondly, let me tell all of you and the companies that you are representing that we are here for you. We are here because we have a specific list of tasks and competencies we try to engage in the most effective way, despite our problems, despite our weaknesses, despite our innate weaknesses, such as problems deriving from the lack of personnel. People who are closer to our company may be aware of the fact that we have less than 50 members of our personnel, though we manage billions. We don't have the possibility other companies have, other companies operating in the same field. Anyway, despite the weaknesses, the potential of our personnel is huge. There is a lot of know-how that has been accumulated by our human resources, and they produce an excellent result, regardless of the number, of the small number. We're here for the energy market. We're trying to do the best work possible. The phones of our company, rather the call centers of our company, are there for you regardless, rather despite the problems. They are always available to answer all questions and to try to solve all problems. I'd like to thank Cosmo One publicly for the exceptional work that it has been doing. Well, we are starting this cooperation now. It's going to be our first. It's not going to be our last. There are lots of things that we will be doing together. Mr. Petmezas and his collaborators are exceptional partners. And this is a fact that makes me envisage many more things for the future. I'd like to congratulate Mrs. Koulivari, Mr. Antonopoulos, all other executives of GEOs and energy mix. GEOs and energy mix are twins. I'd like to congratulate them on the strenuous effort they've undertaken with the information system and the unification and interoperability with the AIB, the European Hub, with the organization of the first introductory auction, bidding that is. And I'd also like to help all the other colleagues that will be supporting this effort, and wholeheartedly I would like to thank you all. I'll celebrate 5 years as a manager of the company, and I have had the opportunity to meet collaborators that are not just wonderful, but they are collaborators that actually guarantee an excellent state of energy in our country, that it is on the right track. So thank you very, very much, everybody.
Τελειώσαμε άρα.